Thank you very much, Arvin. Thank you so much. Amazing company. Very good. I need to dig more onto your company to see my financial plans for my children. So thank you so much for that lovely introduction. My name is Luz, and as Arvin says, I'm a conscious parenting coach, but I am also a mother of 3 children. I got a 15-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 6-year-old. So I know what is to be a mother, and especially I'm a single mother, so it's very at times overwhelming to be or try to be a good mother, because somehow in our society we have this definition of a perfect parent, and we all want to be that, perfect parent. But what is really being a perfect parent? How do we define becoming a so-called perfect parent? So the idea for me of preaching and spraying this awareness of conscious parenting is really interesting, because for me it suits me very well. I don't want to be the perfect mother, but I want to be a conscious mother, because I realize that consciousness, being more aware of our own conditioning and our own way of seeing life, being aware of that, it's more helpful to our kids than becoming that perfect parent. Because when we are aware of what we, or the way we see the world, then is when we start questioning, is it really true that, is it my own conditioning actually healthy? Is it my own conditioning and the way I see life healthy for my child? Because we all know that we are different, we are unique, and not everybody came to this world to do certain things in the same way. We are all unique human beings that came to this world to fulfill our own destiny. So when we parents do not allow this for our children, we are actually blocking, and we are actually becoming the block that our children have to fulfill their own evolution, their own beings, their own happiness, their own fulfillment. So consciousness for me is a very, very interesting subject by itself, because it's massive, the amount of awareness of education that people needs to become conscious. But going back into the main subject of conscious parenting, so if you allow me, I'm going to share a slide that I have prepared, so that just we start with this very interesting subject, and I hope I can cover all in 1 hour. I'm conscious about the time. So conscious parenting coaching is what I do. I help parents to, I'm going to put this maybe into a slide mode. Arvin, if you help me as well to see, yeah. So conscious parenting coaching is what I do. I help parents to, parents who are struggling and who are overwhelmed by this, journey of parenting, because now you are not only not in control of yourself, but now you are trying to control or to shape or fix or guide other human beings, and if you are not in a state of awareness of your own internal emotions, you can actually, instead of guide them and inspire your children, you could actually damage them, and you can potentially hurt them unintentionally, unconsciously, but you can actually harm them instead of actually helping them to grow, helping them to raise, So this is why I like conscious parenting. You already introduced me, as I told you. I actually have 3 degrees. I have a bachelor degree in human resources management, on which I also took some courses of psychology. And then I am also a hypnotherapist, and that's hypnosis, which I use a lot for my parents who are struggling with certain emotional disbalances, okay? And because sometimes parents, we have internal wounds, internal emotional negative baggage or negative conditioning from our past, from our parents, or maybe some traumatic events, or maybe I don't know, some certain negative conditioning, limiting beliefs, we are not able as well to fulfill our role as parents. So it's very important that parents realize that, or at least think about, why is it in me that I need to first heal, so that when I'm a parent, all those wounds does not affect my child. So I'm a hypnotherapist, and I'm also, as you say, founder of Positive Living UAE. I am graduated from the school of Dr. Shefali, PhD. She's a doctor, PhD in clinical psychology. She has trained me one-on-one on what it means to become a conscious parenting coach. Now, why is it important that we start spreading the word of conscious parenting? In my company, in Positive Living UAE, we believe that every parent and even teacher should have the opportunity to learn conscious parenting skills, because only then, when they have the right tools, they can inspire and they can guide, like leaders, guide them, our precious and pure children. It is already known by anybody who knows about psychology or even spiritualism that all the children come to this world divine, pure, whole. They don't lack anything. In fact, there is nothing for us human beings or parents to fix or shape. They are already divine, whole human beings that don't have lack of anything. They don't lack confidence. They don't lack any skills. They will learn through us, through parents, with our guidance and our own example, but they don't lack anything. In spiritualism, actually, it says that human beings, it is in the childhood that you are the closest to become perfect. You are the closest to be that perfect human being, because you are absolutely abundant in all the ways. So it is in us, parents and teachers or guardians, to keep that divinity in our children. So conscious parenting philosophy believes that children, as I said, are born full of perfection, and that's how we should keep them, free of any adult's expectation and unconsciousness, unconscious conditioning. So, solutions. What does my professional experience as a hypnotherapist, as a conscious parenting coach, has made me to really realize is that most of the parents, most of the wounded parents that I treat, with children who are, suffering from a specific, traumatic disorders, or perhaps certain behaviors that they are trying to correct. And I realized that most of the unconscious negative wounds, negative conditioning was formed at a very early age in their childhood. It is in their childhood that most of the parents that comes to me and said, I can't control my temper. I'm too, impulsive with my son or my daughter. I sometimes spank my daughter. She triggers me, or he doesn't listen to me, and that makes me feel so, uncomfortable. And please help me. How can I fix my son? Or how can he listen to me? Or how can I stop being so high tempered? And I always had the experience that 90% of the cases, it's because there were some wounds, some traumatic event in the life of that adult that has happened in their childhood. So it is indeed, as a professional in this field, that most of the time I realize the patterns start at a very early age of our lives. So what can we be doing as parents and teachers to give them the best? It's first to develop our own emotional intelligence. So we need to basically, and Dr. Shefali, my mentor, said, first we need to consider raising ourselves as adults. Raise our levels of consciousness, of awareness of what is it in us that does not allow us to inspire and guide our children from a place of love, of nurture, of patience, of tolerance. What is it in us that is stopping us to do that? Because when I treat parents who are overwhelmed, or they are short tempered, or they are not patient with their children, it's because there are certain patterns in themselves, some unmet needs as children that were not fulfilled, and that is now, when they have children, it's causing the problems because they are triggered again. They go back to those wounds unconsciously, and they become this helpless little inner child within themselves, within an adult person, and that does not let them to guide and inspire their children from a place, as I said, of nurture, patience, calmness, stillness. Okay, so that's what we can do. We need to raise ourselves, raise our level of consciousness, so that we become more Zen people, more relaxed, more calm, more positive, and lead our kids through example, not but shaming, neglecting, disciplining the kids. So one of the perspective that I always explain when somebody asks me, so what is conscious parenting? Well, conscious parenting is an amazing technique, or an amazing parenting style that is breaking the paradigm of the old traditional way of parenting. What is the old traditional way of parenting? Well, it is always authoritarian most of the time. In our generations, like myself, we were raised with the belief that parents know everything and that we should listen to them no matter what. Even when they are wrong, if they tell you something that is wrong, you are not supposed to even answer back because you'll get one in the mouth. So you were not supposed to reply, you were not supposed to question the authority of your parents. But we know now that in these times, where times have changed, it has changed. We have evolved, not only technologically wise, but also as a humanity, we evolve. And that authoritarian perspective does not work anymore, because our children now are not going to, bow on our word, because the whole society has changed. Internet has come, there is iPad, there is telephones, everything is so open to them. So now they have lots of distractions. And what happens is that our children, the more we try to impose and neglect their own opinion or their own voices, then they go into that world, into the virtual world, which, because they are not listened or not seen at home, not being heard and validated, they go into that virtual world where everything is open. Their eyes are absolutely open to so many things. And most of the time, because they want to fit in, they will go and seek advice of how they should behave and who should they be into their friends, into that virtual world. Some of them will have addictions to the iPad, to the phone, because they don't feel seen at home. They don't feel being validated at home. So the whole humanity is evolving. That authoritarian parenting does not work anymore. And if it does, for some parents who think that it does based on fear, because it is a parenting style that is based in fear, the authoritarian way I am referring to, then it will be temporarily. And this is why sometimes it is in the teenagerhood when the children start to rebel, because that's when they realize, oh my God, now I'm big. My mom cannot hit me, or my father cannot hit me. So I'm going to start to rebel and speak up my truth. And then the conflict happens. And then, of course, there is resistance. When there is resistance, it will persist. So there will be a lot of clash. So conscious parenting says, instead, we invite them to consider that having children, it's a privilege. It's a privilege because they will teach you through the experience of parenting how many things in you have to be resolved, have to be grown, have to be evolved in this journey of parenthood. And so you raise your level of consciousness, you connect with your child, you both discover each other, and then you as a parent healing your own wounds, you become to be that supportive friend, that connected parent, that connected friend to your children rather than the authoritarian commanding soldier that your child will eventually rebel. So that's conscious parenting. Conscious parenting shifts the perspective of fixing a child. No, and we said no. Let's fix ourselves first as parents. Let's raise our level of consciousness so that we can guide our children from a place of love, connection, understanding. So how can we encourage children just to be and feel genuinely happy and stress-free? Learning both physically and mental activities as well as academically by supporting them, by understanding them, by asking them how they feel, what will it be better. And yes, it doesn't mean as well, for some people who misunderstand conscious parenting, it doesn't mean you do everything that the child tells you to do, but you have this communication where you guide and you lead by example. So if you want your child, for example, to eat healthy or to make exercise, you become that person. You become the person who have at home healthy food, who, you know, make available for your children to learn about healthy food and the values of it. And if you want your child to do activities outside, you as a parent, you accompany them. You take them out, you enjoy a ride on the bicycle with them, you connect with them, you do it with them, not just imposing, neglecting, and, you know, putting it all on the child. And then you said, oh no, I'm doing everything and, you know, what I can, but my child is not listening to me. And I know for some parents, it's a bit difficult to think that they can connect because they might be working. They might be working parents that are all day working, and they might say, but Luz, I work all day long. How can I connect and listen to my son and do all the things that you are saying so beautifully? Let me tell you something. In conscious parenting, we actually teach that it is about quality time, not quantity. So there is always, even if you are working, there could be 1 hour or 30 minutes that you really, really sit with your child, connect with your child, be there, just be present. You know, I had one of my lives in Facebook where I was talking about this specifically, the presence. The presence of a father or a mother is crucial, crucial. It is actually a survival mechanism for little children, especially at the early age and even later on. But at a very early age, it is crucial for parents to give presence to the child because they needed to be able to feel themselves worth it, to be able to feel that my mom, my dad see me, they play with me, I must be important to them. They actually see me, they interact with me. And even if they are not interacting with you in the play, um, your presence already is making the job by just being there and looking at your kids and feel there, not with the phone or, you know, being in Facebook or Instagram, but just being there. That gives them the safety environment for them to feel appreciated, for them to feel valued. Okay, so this is what conscious parenting is about the parents being aware of what and how they are contributing to the upraising of the children. So it's not about fixing, it's not about imposing or neglecting. So conscious parenting, again, I will define it. Children are very impressionable. Yes, they shadow us, they copy us, especially at a very early age. And much of their behavior is learned through familiar interactions that they copy from parents or by the guardian, because not everybody has been raised by parents. Sometimes, especially in Dubai, most of the foreigners that come here, the Asian communities, they leave their children with their grandparents, yes? So they start to shadow them as well. They become their parents. So particularly between the ages of 0 to 7, did you know, parents who are watching this, that we have a part in our brain that it's called the prefrontal cortex, which is what we call the regulator of the emotions. I mean, scientists, doctors call, in very simple terms, the regulator of the emotions. And how does this matter as a parent? Because it is in that age, especially from 0 to 3, as per Dr. Gabor Mate. You must watch the YouTubes of this doctor for all the parents who want to know more about the psychology and the brain development of children. Gabor Mate. He explains it very clear. From the ages of 0 to 3, all the imprinting, the most important imprinting, is done between the ages of 0 to 3, where children develop an attachment. They must develop that attachment with the parents, especially the mother, because it is in this attachment that the child have with the mother that the mother has the opportunity, hopefully, if she's not a working mother, but even if she was a working mother, she has the opportunity to validate and to be there for the child constantly. Constantly. If we do the first 3 years of the life of a child well, we give them that positive attachment to them, we can relax after 3 years old. We can relax, though it's very crucial, but we can relax. But it is indeed the first 3 years of their life that they need to develop that attachment where they feel validated, where they feel being seen. So when they cry, they are attended. When they do any sort of cues or any sort of tantrums, they feel like, okay, I see you. You matter. I see you. You are worth it of my time. I love you. You are okay. Mommy's here. They need to feel that to be able to feel themselves worth it. It seems very, simple, yet nobody gets it, because these 3 4 years are so difficult for a mother because it's exhausting. It's exhausting to wake up, every 2 hours to feed the child. It's exhausting to let them learn how to walk. You gotta be there making sure they are not chewing anything or doing anything, and then they tantrum because they want mommy, mommy, mommy. It is this attachment that they need. They do it as a survival mechanism. And also because it is at this age between 0 to 7 that they are developing the very important part that is called the STEAM brain, the brain STEAM. It's the most important part that gives them that confidence, that survival mechanism in their brain, that they will know that they are loved, that they are worth it, that they matter, that they can do anything because they are capable to do that, because mommy was there to support them and give them all the love and the attention that they needed. So the prefrontal cortex, it's that part of our brain that, as I said, it's developed in the very early ages of the life to regulate all the chemicals in their brain. That's why it's called the regulator of the emotions. Adrenaline, oxytocin, dopamine, cortisol, these are all chemicals that children have in their brain, and that they start using them, they start to regulate at the very early ages of their life. So if they are with a parent that has been present, connected, and that child had a lot of validation, they will develop the right amount of chemicals when they feel stressed, overwhelmed, tired. They know how to act because they are safe. But if this is a child that is growing up in a dysfunctional family, where there is a lot of stress, where there is a lot of drama and a lot of, lack of attention to that child, the child doesn't feel he's validated, doesn't feel that he's worth it, doesn't feel that he matters in the life of the parents, guess what happens? That child starts releasing specific chemicals like cortisol, which is the stress hormone that will make him to be on a flight, fight, or freeze mode. So that child already activates one part of the brain that is like always in a survival mode. And that is very difficult to switch off when they are growing, because they will be always in that, mode of being defensive, always, feel scared, unconfident. And this is why we need to avoid. This is why conscious parenting coaches, teach parents to understand every step and every level of the brain development of a child, so that you can understand them, but also understand yourself. Why you are also getting all these emotional disbalances, so that when you understand yourself as well, you can also regulate that, you can regulate that prefrontal cortex more positively, and in a better, calmer way. But you need to understand where is this coming from. And this is why I do the job of using hypnosis. I treat clients that have a lot of emotional baggage, and so they can understand, heal themselves, so they can regulate, they can manage their emotions better. So you see how crucial it is that we do not screw up our children's psychic from the very beginning, because as they grow, these patterns of behavior will remain the same. And once we don't do the job at the very beginning, it is difficult to fix that. You will have to fix that child for decades. They will have to go through therapy if you can afford it. And if you can't, then they will grow up as adults. They will survive, don't get me wrong, but they will survive not being able to manage their emotions. And until they have their own children, they will look like they are normal human beings. But when they will have any confrontation or any vulnerable situation, whether it's with a wife, with a boss, with a friend, in the colleagues' work, they will they will burst and they will collapse, because nobody showed them how to, become that, you know, confident, validated human being within themselves. Within themselves. Okay, so this is very important, as it is very clearly in this slide. Any strong negative experience without support of a conscious parenting or conscious support at school, which also happens with teachers. If we do not validate the emotions of our children at school, can you imagine if a teacher is telling your kids, you are not smart enough, you are not good enough, I will put you in the group B or C? What is the message a child will get? They will not say, no, I don't like mathematics, it's okay. No, they will say, something is wrong with me. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. And if they go back home and again, the same story is told, you are not good enough. This grade is not good for me. I don't accept. You have to give me a better rate. And so there is a lot of stress, a lot of emotional, conditioning, that the child will feel helpless and he will feel like he's a total loser. He's a total, he will never do good, and we will actually spoil the confidence. So for me, in particular, I believe that conscious parenting, it doesn't stay only at home. Also, it should be taken to schools to teach teachers as well to be more connected with their students, and to teach the teachers to become themselves also aware of their own, standards of perfection, or what they think a student should be, and less start to less damage the intellectual and the psychic of a child in the school. So, but parents are the key, because even if your child is a child that at school is not doing well, at home he should be praised, he should be listened at, he should be connected, he should be supported. That's the role of a parent. That's the role of a conscious parent. Okay, so you know that nowadays, because of the pandemic, because of the school online, there is a lot of children that are suffering from stress, depression, a lot of, tantrums, a lot of acting out. I have lots of parents that come to me with 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 17-year-old children who are completely rebellious, completely, they are going a lot of acting out, let's put it that way. I don't want to go into a specific, but there is a lot of acting out because they don't see any support at home. So what they do is, when you are a human being that in your own place, in the most important place of your life, home with your mom and dad, you are neglected, you are not listened at, you are completely ignored, and in fact you are judged, you are criticized, you've been punished. Where do you think you will go as a teenager or as a little child? You'll go to seek help somewhere else. You start going out with your friends, you start seeking advice from other, immature people, which will give you the wrong advice. They will tell you, no, if you do this, you'll feel more happy. Or if you do that, or if you have this, wherever clothes, or if you have this phone, or if you do this. So they start looking for happiness or for relief, for feeling validated and accepted by other people. Yes, so this is why we need to understand what is happening to our children. We need to connect with them, speak to them, Validate them and do not neglect their own, world, what they are living through their journey in life. So like I said, so issues such as stress, anxiety, depression are increasing in concern in all our society. The world is being affected tremendously, and especially when it comes to young people. For what is worse, poor mental health is often difficult to understand. And if parents and teacher does not possess the right level of mental conscious awareness, sometimes we can damage our kids. The side effects of our unconsciousness, we can treat a child in an unfair way, in a very unconscious way. A child simple needs to be met. All the children have basic needs. They're just basic, because if I tell you the three basic needs of any human being, even adults, not necessarily only children, are: I want to be seen, I want to be validated for who I am, I want to be appreciated, and I want to be worth it. I want to be worth it for my family, for my society, for my work. I want to feel that I have a worth. So these three things we also need to give to our children through the awareness of how we are treating our kids on a day-to-day basis. So conscious parenting, it's indeed a skill. You can learn it, everybody can learn it, and it can be learned effectively, okay, through parents and teachers to help children to avoid having any mental barriers. Isn't it what it is at the end of the day when a child is not good in a subject? We don't burn knowing everything. We learn them. They are all skills. So if your child is not good in mathematics or in literature, it doesn't mean he's an incapable person. It doesn't mean that. It just means that perhaps he needs to spend more time on it with your help as a parent. Maybe it's not his thing. Maybe he doesn't want to study mathematics and he's good in other things. Have you considered that? Can you see that in this perspective, that not everybody is going to be a mathematician, not everybody is going to be an engineer? Can you imagine if we all do the same thing? It will be so boring. So every child is unique. And we need to find, as parents, as conscious parents, we need to find, dig in our children. What is it that you like? What is it that you would like to, experience or learn more? And it takes time, yes, but that's why it takes time to be a conscious parent. It needs a commitment from your side that you stop being that authoritarian parent that has come, from a background where they did this to you. It doesn't mean it will work for your children. In conscious parenting, we are against the generational patterns, because what it worked for you might not work for your child. And indeed, when we analyze ourselves, when I hear some parents saying, Luz, my parent hit me and they used to punish me and discipline me. And look, I end up being well. It's not that bad. Are you emotionally balanced? Are you, are you really always so confident and you don't have any emotional disbalances? Are you? I can bet you the answer is no. Did you like when your mother or your father hit you when you were a little child? Did you like it? No, of course not. Nobody likes to be punished. Nobody likes to be hurt. Nobody likes to be, spanked and being physically or verbally abused. Nobody like that. We survived through that, yes. And we survived having some wounds. It had a price. And now the idea of conscious parenting is that you heal yourself first, that so that you can also connect to your child from a better place with love, understanding, friendship. Isn't it that our role as parents? Isn't that will be better perspective? And your child will follow you voluntarily. Discipline is a word that comes from disciples. Your children, ideally, would be your disciples, but not by spanking or shaming or neglecting. The disciples are not by force. Disciples is by voluntarily going where you are going because I want to follow you, because you are my leader and I follow you and I listen to you. That's the idea of discipline. but we misunderstood. We see discipline as punishing and, shaming and neglecting and, imposing our own ideas to our children because of our own perspective. So for parents or maybe some teachers who are watching this, is it possible to delve into the subconscious mind to identify harmful patterns and essentially to rewire the mind? Yes, it is, absolutely, through hypnosis. Hypnosis is a scientific way to be able to go into your psychic as an adult, as a parent, and see what has been messed up there in your psychic that now that you are an adult and you are having children, is not helping you to become that parent that is calm, connected, friendly, supportive, and, free of any conditioning. It is possible. That's why I do what I do. Hypnosis is one of the methods. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is another method. And also it's already scientific. It's scientific that if you are a person, even if you're genetic, imagine this, even if you're genetic, come from parents who have ADHD, this very common disease that nowadays is very common, and that it's a disease of our society, because as a humanity, we evolve. These diseases were not so obvious before. Now it's increasing. And it's because of the amount of stress, the amount of how the world has evolved, the pace of life has become so stressful that now more children are born with those diseases. But imagine, now there is something called epigenetic. Epigenetic, it is already proven that even if you had genes of parents or relatives that had these diseases, it doesn't mean even when you have these genes, it will not activate, the genes will not be activated in your body if you are raised in a healthy, loving, connected environment, if you are a child. Yes, because that's what epigenetic is. You might have the genes, but they don't activate given the conditions that you are living in a peaceful, healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy environment. This is how crucial is the raising up of our children with consciousness, with level of awareness. You see? So some conditions that might occur, okay, let me move this here. Yeah. So some conditions that might disrupt a child's learning and development in the school, which seems to be most of the, demands of parents that children study and the school, if their emotional balance is disrupt, not good, these are some of the, conditions that might be affecting that they are not good in school. Negative parental, which means the parents are, not being there, not being present, or maybe between mom and dad, there is a lot of, dynamic, a negative dynamic. Another one could be influence enmeshment. I don't know if you ever heard about this. The enmeshment is when the parents are overprotective, extremely protective, to the point that the child is not able to decide or think or do anything on their own. Enmeshment can be toxic, and I believe this is what we call in parenting style the helicopter parents or mothers, always they're deciding everything from the child. They don't give them even chance to take their own decisions. Another condition is social anxiety around all the people around there, like the pandemic, where we were, all of us, we were being forced to be inside our houses and, locked and not able to see our friends and, go to school. That is also another very strong condition that can disrupt the emotional state of our children. Post-traumatic stress disorder, for sure, if this child has been exposed to a lot of trauma, to a lot of, negative environment. Sleep disorders, children need to sleep their hours. I see still in the UAE, in this country that we live, some parents tend to let children sleep in the very late and expect them to wake up very early, and that cannot be, because they need to sleep their hours that they need. And so this could also affect their learning in the school. They have to have a proper routine where they are rested so they can approach and be open to learn the next day. Depression, of course, if the child is sad because he does not feel validated, he doesn't feel or she doesn't feel being seen by the parents and completely neglected by their own guardians, depression is also very, toxic for a child. Eating disorders, again, it's an emotional disbalance. When they are eating wrong food, maybe because they are watching that from their parents, they see how they eat, so they'll copy it. Or when they are emotionally disbalanced and their only addiction they have is to food. That's the only thing that make them feel satisfied. They make them feel relief and being, seen. And then phobic reactions, which normally are, very hereditary and because they copy the parents, like in my case, for example, I have phobia to spiders, and I can remember that I have phobia to spiders because my mother used to always, say that I the spiders, and so I took that phobia as my own, but I never been, in a experience with any sort of phobia to spiders. But this is something that sometimes we copy as children. So all these conditions can be avoided, but if the condition exists, of course, it can be treated through therapy. Okay. So my proposal is to parents, schools, everybody to learn the principles of what it means to be a conscious parent. And, like everybody else when they have a disease. So if you have a tooth that is paining you, where do you go? To the dentist. If you have stomach pain, where do you go? You go to the doctor, to the physician. In the same way now, if somebody is feeling overwhelmed, stress, or their children are feeling overwhelmed, stress, depression, anxiety, they should seek help from a person who can help them to understand their emotional imbalances, to understand their negative conditioning, their negative beliefs, because it all starts from the belief system. So that's why I created this company called Positive Living, where we offer all these holistic treatments that will treat parents and children without any medication, no chemicals, because we know that the medicine is only treating the physical symptom. Yes, normally physician tends to prescribe everything, and that's okay. They will fix the symptom, but the core problem, it always starts in the emotions, because it is a scientific proof that the mind and the body, they are connected, they are one. So when the mind is doing well, the body consequently will do just fine. So it has a connection. Unless, of course, it's a disease that needs medication, we prefer, like we conscious parenting coaches or hypnotherapists, treat yourself with holistic methods, that there are many, like hypnotherapy, conscious parenting, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That's what NLP stands for. Because what it is, neuro, it's from the brain, linguistic, the language. It's the language between the mind and the physical body that needs to be reset in a more positive, empowering way. So we in Positive Living UAE, my coaches and myself, we treat clients with this perspective of understanding what are you telling yourself every day? Are you always being negative about you, about your look, about your psychic, about your intellectual? What are you telling yourself constantly? Language is so important. Language within yourself. Once you understand the way you are speaking to yourself, if it is in a motivating yourself or in a discouraging way, this needs to be you need to be aware, because it's normally when we are communicating from the mind to the body wrongly, that also our actions, every decisions that we take will be also not good. It will not be positive. It will be hurtful to you and to the people around you. Okay, so all these techniques, we do it at Positive Living UAE. I practice them. I teach or I coach all my parents and the children to speak to themselves in an empowering way, in a positive way. And I go into the wounds through hypnotherapy to fix, or to not fix, that word is very harsh, to heal, that's the word, heal their traumas, to heal their childhood problems, because they need to heal. And when they don't know what it is, that's why we use hypnosis. We go into a regression mentally, that you are aware when and how and where or when did any trauma has marked you, has left you a wound inside yourself. Mhm. So that's what we do. So free accessibility to service. My website will be shared at the end, and you can go and check all the techniques that we have. We are also doing this kind of free seminars, like now, with very kind of Arvin inviting me to do this. We also doing the community. I'm having tomorrow one in my community. We want to go to schools to spread the word of conscious parenting, of awareness of our own emotions, raising our levels of consciousness, healing our wounds, healing our wounds. What does the healing means? Healing means being whole again. That's what healing means. We are all, we are all born being whole, divine, without any lack. But our childhood, some of us, like myself, our dysfunctional childhood has chipped us off, and some of our psyche has been damaged. So healing means being again whole, healing yourself, becoming a very conscious and positive, empowering human being. So you heal yourself to become whole again, the same way you were born into this world. So engaging through seminars, I go to schools, I do this kind of talks, and I truly believe, really, I do, that all of the parents love their children, love their children, and that their children are the most important part of their lives. But if we don't know how to love properly, we can actually be damaging those people that are the most important people in our lives. So I truly believe that parents are the most important people in the life of a child. And through conscious parenting and other holistic techniques, we can help parents to become better leaders. Remember what I said? You want your children to be your disciples. You want them to follow you voluntarily, okay, to become better leaders and to have more long-lasting positive impact in the life of your kids. So conscious parenting is about living mindfully. So knowing your psyche, understanding yourself, loving yourself, eating healthy, meditating for people who doesn't know that concept, it's really important. And working in positive teamwork, my company, would like to teach parents and schools and everybody interested to help you to face this journey of parenting in a more empowering and positive, way. So thank you so much, Arvin. I hope I gave information that parents need. This is, of course, very little. I can expand a lot more, but I'm very conscious that we have only 1 hour, and I hope that you enjoy it. And please, if you have any questions, if any parents or anybody in the audience would like to ask me any questions, because I make it purposely 10 minutes, I finish good. I'm good with the timing.
Yes, you are. So thank you so much, Liz, for the enlightening and amazing talk. I have 2.5-year-old twins, girl and boy. So I'm sure I'm going to. I mean, this helps me a lot, and I'm sure that I'm going to connect with you for further.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So there is a question that that is there on the Q&A, right? That somebody has asked, and everyone else, there you can also ask questions by typing in to the Q&A section or chat, or you can raise the hand. Right. So the first question, Luz, is that my son is eight and has no confidence and is very sensitive. So can he be offered hypnosis treatment?
For an 8-year-old, I could, yes, but here the ultimate goal is that the parent help that child to feel confident, because the word of a parent, there is no better word of confidence that comes from a parent, because for a child, their parents is God in flesh. They believe anything the parents would say. So yes, I could give hypnosis to that little young boy, which will help him to boost and maybe give him again that confidence for sure. But if the parents do not give that confidence on a day-to-day basis, reassuring him on the daily basis that he is a human being worth it, that he matters, that he is valuable to society, and especially to the parents, this child still will encounter other, as he grows up, other, you know, any vulnerable event, he will become a bit anxious. So yes, I could to answer the question, but I would like to treat more, or I would like to see the parents, because I would like to understand why is it that this child is unconfident? Why is he so sensitive? There is a fear there, and I would like to dig more on that fear. Where did it came from? And sometimes we do it unconsciously, Arvin. It's not that the parents are bad persons or they are bad parents, but there is something there that we are missing. Why is this a child at 8 years old not being confident? Why? So I personally, yes, I give hypnosis to little children, and it causes a big shift, but also to cure really the core is in the parents' style. What is happening at home? Yes.
Thank you so much. And then there is another question that my 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
4 months old boy throws things and hits elders sometime out of fun. What we should do to
Mm-hmm.
correct it?
So little. Yes, 2 year old is actually the most authentic age of of a person, of a human being, as a human being, the 2 year old. Why? Because this 2 year old is now only understanding that he's a separate human being than mommy. It is until the 2 year old that he saw in his little brain that mommy and him, or they're one. And he's like, 2 year old, what happened to me? Mommy, what's wrong? What happened to us? I thought we were one. And so because he's discovering now himself as an individual, he's starting to experiment. So he must have seen somewhere the hitting. He must have seen some reaction. Okay, he must have seen some reaction when he was hitting the first time. Maybe the parents were, you're so cutie, you are so funny. And then he liked it. He was like, I can hit. This is fun. Or, that this is, I have attention when I do that. Let me do it more. And so his children are so smart. They are so smart. They can shadow, they can copy anything, and any clue that us as parents give, they will go for it. So the 2 year old is actually just exploring, experimenting certain behaviors to see what the attention of the parents, to see what he's getting from the parents, from the guardians. So the more audience we give it to him, he will continue to do more. So I would suggest to that mother or father, explain the little one, oh, mommy loves you and sees you, but I don't like this, hitting. That's not nice thing to do. It hurts. And then they can even play with the child and say, oh, look, it hurt me. Oh, mommy's sad. And make the sad face. Mommy doesn't like this, and, teach him better ways for him to have the attention of mommy in a more positive way. So mommy teach the child, I will give you more attention if you communicate, or if you, play with me and, do other things that he sees that mommy gives him also attention. Mhm.
Thank you. There's another question, which is it okay to call your child sensitive? Doesn't it affect their confidence?
No, no, he shouldn't call anything. This is absolutely no. We shouldn't label. We shouldn't label our children. The moment we label our children, your child needs to fulfill that label. So if I call my child, you are naughty, you are this, you are that, the child, what did I say before? The words of a parent is the most important words for the kids. Wherever my mom think of me, I must be. I must become that, because my mom calls me naughty, 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 or sensitive, sensitive. No. If you want to label anything to your child because, I don't know, it comes out of your mouth, please say good things then. Say, you're smart. You're such a good boy. You are amazing. You are resilient. You say only positive things. Yes, because if you're going to start label things, you might as well label things good things, so that your child at least feels that way. But it's not good to say my child is sensitive. My child, your child, even if he is, that's okay. Emotions are good. We human beings, we are taught to label even emotions, my dear. Emotions are emotions. They are not good or bad. Sadness, frustration, depression. These are emotions that comes to your body to show you, it has a message to show you something you are doing is wrong. And I want you to be aware. So it's an emotion that you have it in your body and have him as a guest, where it comes, you embrace it, and then you let go. Do you keep a guest in your house? No, you don't keep a guest. When you invite a guest that comes to your house, you welcome it, you feed them, you make them feel good, then they leave. Same emotions. Emotions comes to our body to show us something inside ourselves. So we feel it, we embrace it, and we let it go, you know? Wrongly we do this in society, that for boys, for example, Arvin, for yourself, if for boys, the society teach boys don't cry. Oh, you crying like a girl, like immediately we label that crying, showing his emotions, bad. And then when they grow as adults and completely heartless men, they don't have any feeling, then we start to blame them. Oh, you have no feelings. Well, I was taught not to show my feelings. What do you mean? I'm a man, so you see, it's not nice to label children. And if you do, please label them with really positive things, so that your child at least feels that positive things in themselves. Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you. So I have another question. Yes, very informative session is the feedback from forum. And can you please share the recording link of this session? Obviously, I mean, we would be sending you the email of the recording, right? So you can watch it at your leisure, right? And there is another question, which says how to handle if 2.5 years old boy is stubborn.
Mm-hmm. He's just being himself again. A 2-year-old and a half. He's just having to show you some character. It's so good. It's positive. It means he has a personality. Well, you show them by love, a lot of connection. When you are, what do they mean by being stubborn? I mean, what can a 2.5-year-old get away with? They're very small. As I said, this is the year where they are discovering that he and mommy are not the same. You see what happens when we are pregnant. We have this child in our womb. And once they are outside, they cut the umbilical cordon. It doesn't mean they are already emotionally separated. No, it is scientifically proven the child is building, still they are attached mentally, emotionally with the mother. They are attached because they depend, their survival depend on this attachment with the mother, where he cries and he knows he's going to be attended, he's going to be fed. He cries, does tantrums, he knows mommy is there. Love and food and shelter is there through this attachment, you see. And when this 2-year-old, 2.5 years, realizes that, oh dear, mommy is there and I'm here, and so we are not connected, I can lose my mommy. So they start to act out. Some of them have tantrums, some of them cry, some of them hit, some of them bite. They want to fight for that attachment. They want mommy to see them, to validate them, that they are still there. That mommy's still there. I still see you and I love you. Yes, I'm here. So this stubbornness will peace out if mommy is there and teach the child with patience and tolerance. Mommy loves you more when you do this, for example, no hitting, and maybe express yourself. Although the 2.5 still some of them can still speak, but some of them can. So you teach them through age appropriateness. You start teaching them, better ways to communicate, to ask attention from mommy, because that's all they want. The attention of mommy is a survival mechanism for themselves. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, so is there any other questions that the participants want to ask? If not, then you can always email us at hello@yourthinkinghats.com. Right? If you want to meet Luz, you can always write to us, and we will help you connect with her. Right? So thank you so much, Luz, for
Not at all.
talk.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, and please visit my website if you want to know more as well. For all the audience, Positive Living UAE. It's one word, Positive Living UAE. For anybody who has any, questions, as you mentioned, they can contact you as well directly, or send me an email to Luz LUZ@positiveliving.UAE, one word.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
And
much.
I look forward to hear from you.
Yeah, sure. And we will send you the recording of this session shortly. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And have a great
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you.